good morning to all you shooters and reloaders out there. It happens to be July 4th, so happy 4th to everybody. We're celebrating our nation. What better way to do that than to do a video? And what I thought I would do today is post one of my open house videos over on Patreon. Go ahead and post it over here on YouTube. I don't normally do that because those videos are exclusive over there. This happens to be the open house all viewers video number 69. Those videos are available to anyone to view over on the Patreon site just for visiting. But let's go ahead and get right into our video for today. And this isn't for shotgun reloaders and shooters. It's not for handgun shooters and reloaders. It's for all of you rifle shooters and reloaders out there. And this is a kind of important thing because it deals with the safety of our ammunition that we create and also performance. And performance, of course, is power and accuracy. So we can divide all the rifle shooters and reloaders into 6 categories. And I'm not talking about reloaders who use single stage presses versus turret presses versus the progressive, no, not that. We're talking about some basic philosophy type of categories, and those categories are the full length sizers. That's number 1. Number 2 would be the neck sizers. Number 3 would be the cartridge bumpers. And then number 4 would be the case jammers. And number 5 would be the bullet jammers. And then number 6 would be both case and bullet jammers. 6 categories. And all rifle shooters, reloaders for shooters, fall into one of those categories, or we can actually be in different categories depending on what gun. So let's begin with the biggest category, and that's the full length sizers. Now, you know, in all the reloading manuals, they talk about full length sizing. And a lot of the newer reloaders out there, the first thing they'll do is full length sizing. So predominantly you're going to have a lot more of the full length sizers than all the other categories. And that's because, for example, our very popular semi-automatic rifles. When we reload for these, we're going to be doing full length sizing. Because if you don't do full length sizing for a semi-automatic, you're inviting jams and all kinds of malfunctioning. And that's a big issue because next to safety, reliability is the most important thing. So many semi-automatic shooters of 223s, 308s, all the calibers in the semi-automatic platforms, a lot of rounds being shot, and you gotta do full length sizing in order to get good functioning. Now the same applies to lever action rifles, because with a lever action rifle, again, you need to do full length sizing, because with the weaker type of action, you don't have a lot to help get that round in the chamber, so you gotta have good functioning, and that means full length sizing for lever action rifles. And I don't have a single shot here to give an example, but my Thompson Center Encore single shot rifles fall into the full length sizing also, but not quite, because with careful other types of sizing you can get the rounds to reliably chamber, but if you want to have a sure thing, full length sizing there also. So full length sizing for single shots, for lever actions, for our semi-automatic action. So of course when we fire a round of brass in our rifle, the brass expands to fill the chamber and the neck expands to release the bullet. And what happens is that after firing, the pressure drops, the case springs back a little bit, allows the round to be extracted. But that round won't hold a bullet, so we have to resize the case to some degree. What full-length sizing is, it takes the whole case and brings it back to a factory standard. Factory standard will fit all rifles in that caliber. This happens to be a 30-06. So if you have a semi-automatic rifle, you have a bolt-action rifle, or if you have a single shot or a lever action that's in 30-06, if you have a bunch of rifles, you need the full-length resize in order to get that round to go into all of them. And the idea of full-length resizing, you take any of our manufacturers that create die sets. This happens to be a Lee. The first die will be the full-length resizing die. So this die is adjusted to touch the shell holder, but some reloading manuals recommend that you get it to touch and then say a quarter to 1/3 turn more. So this causes the shell holder to be compressed against the die by that 1/3 or 1/4 turn. Now, I know a lot of what we're about to discuss is old hat to a lot of you out there, but there are a lot of new shooters that would benefit, so let's see if we can go ahead and make a discussion here. We'll use this Federal 150 grain copper jacket bullet from Federal as an example. And so we fired 6 rounds in our rifle, and it doesn't matter what kind of rifle it is, bolt action, semi-auto, lever gun, single shot, doesn't matter, because we're talking about being in the category of full-length sizers. So let's take one of these cases, and the good thing to do is always measure it first. 2.486. Now the maximum overall length allowable for the brass 30-06 is 2.494. We're within the maximum overall length. Now after we get done sizing this, if we exceed 2.494, we're going to have to trim it back to 2.484. So the first thing is we have to lube the case like this, and then get some lube inside the case neck, because the problem is the expanding ball that's on the decapping rod, when it's pulled back through, could stretch that neck if you don't lube it. And if you don't lube the body of the case just a little bit, the brass will get stuck in your die, causing all kinds of frustration. Anyway, here goes the case and the decapping pin, and now the expanding ball just drops right through the enlarged neck. The neck's been enlarged already. So we go ahead and size that case down around that expanding ball. And now you see we're going ahead and taking that out. Now the expanding ball right now is expanding the inside of the neck back to its proper dimension, as you see. Now we take that case and we measure it after full-length sizing. You see it goes to 2.492. Well, we started out at 2.486, and it actually lengthened by 0.006. Well, fortunately, we're still not past the 2.494, so we don't have to trim this, but pretty close. So most of the reloaders in the category of full-length sizers go ahead and truss this die, but the problem is, if you go a quarter turn into the shell holder to a third turn into the shell holder, how consistent is that? And what's happening is you're putting pressure on the shoulder, so that we might even set the shoulder back. According to the Phil Sharp book, Complete Guide to Hand Loading, we can actually push this shoulder back as much as 17 thousandths, increasing the headspace by that much. And that would be disastrous, because that could cause a head separation on the next firing or the firing after that. That's not a good thing. We don't want to work our brass that much. But if we trust the setting of the die, just going ahead and doing it arbitrarily, you could have problems with that. Most of the time we don't have problems with it, because when we reload, we're still going to be within the strength of the brass. So the other problem is that if we touch the shell holder, but the directions say give it a little more, if we don't give it a little more, then we'll wind up having our cases with the headspace too long. In other words, not enough sizing of the shoulder, so that the round is too long in the shoulder so that it won't chamber. Especially in semi-automatics and lever actions and single shots, it won't chamber. And our bolt might be able to cam an extra 3/1000 too long to close the action, but we still don't want that. So instead of flying blind, the best thing to do would be to take a factory round like this Federal and then get yourself a gauge like the RCBS Precision mic or the Hornady headspace comparator. So with the Precision mic, you put the factory round in and you measure it, and it gives you a headspace reading of 0. Now most factory rounds will be at 0 or at -1. So you can't go wrong with 0 or -1. -1 gives you a little bit more reliability. 0 will give you a little more accuracy for your full-length resizing. Let's see what happens when you use the Hornady comparator. So with the Hornady comparator, and that's this device right here that you put on the caliper, that happens to be the Hornady anvil, which makes the readings a lot more easy and reliable to get. So you put the right comparator onto the body, and then you put the round in. This is the factory round. And then you get that nice and square, like that, and then you set this at 0. Like that. Now this will give you something to set your brass to, and you know what the length is. The headspace to the shoulder. There's no flying blind when you use an instrument like this. So let's find out if we can trust this setting or not. Go ahead and size a fired brass casing, and then we measure that. And look at that. We're at -5. That's way too much sizing. Now we might have found that it'll be +5, and that's not enough sizing. We're going to have jams, and we're going to have no chambering and this kind of thing. But in this case, we got -5, which is too much working of the brass. Could lead to head separations, this kind of thing. So we don't want that much sizing. We need to back this die out a little bit. Let's see what we get with this one. I've backed this die out just a little bit. And then we measure with the Precision mic. And it's just a hair below 0. Let's see if I can show you that close up. So can you see that? Just a hair below 0. It's perfect. Now we can trust this die, because we have it all figured out. Now see what happens with the Hornady case comparator. Once again, here's our loaded round at 0. We zeroed it. Now we'll take that last case in there, put that last size case in there, and you see it's just a little below 0, because that's the same as the reading that we got for the RCBS Precision mic. Trust our full-length sizing now without any kind of problem at all, because we matched it up to factory standards of 0 or -1. Using either of these two gauges will allow us to set our dies for full-length resizing and not have to be concerned about flying blind. So while I'm going ahead and sizing all of these cases, I'd like to say hello to our new patrons. That's Ilya P., Karsten Schmidt, Al, Leroy Hunter, and John Husky. Our next video in this series will deal with the second category, and that's the neck sizers. See you next time. Bye for now.